Good morning. It is 7:30 a.m. on what's today? Thursday. Thursday the 26th. Wow, almost lost track of what day it was. That's summer vacation has started for a school teacher. And I wanted to talk a little bit today about, I guess, anger and frustration in fighting games. I guess more specifically, really only one thought that I've had about it recently. And I had taken kind of an on and off break. Like I've been playing 3S very intermittently, and only recently this week, I think starting on maybe Monday, I had been kind of back to my routine of just grinding really hard every day for like 3, 4 hours, which, by the way, is really fun. And I think I've actually sort of accepted to some degree that this is just going to be my style of how I get better at the game. I'll just work really hard for a while and then burn myself out and then take a break and then come back and kind of be a little bit refreshed and then just sort of keep repeating this process. Because I grinded basically nonstop from, oh my God, it's been almost a year. The day I remember playing was the day after my birthday, so July 31st of last year. Or no, I think it actually might have been a little bit later than that, but let's just say for the sake of time, it was July 31st of last year. And I've been grinding for almost a whole year now, which is absurd to me. What has been on my mind today is kind of my idea of frustration, because I've been a lot happier playing the game recently, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, there's less going on in my life at the moment just because, I'm not coming off of a divorce and I'm not working currently. I don't start my summer program until July 7th, so I have a while. So I have a lot more energy to kind of give to the game emotionally. But I think a lot of it has to do with a shift in frustration. And I don't necessarily mean I'm getting less frustrated. I played Envy, who's a really strong New York Yang, in a long set yesterday, and I played probably the best against him that I have in, pretty much forever. And I normally get pretty frustrated playing him just because I have some like personal issues dealing with certain parts of Twins toolkits, mostly with like neutral jump, dive kick, RPS I have a hard time with. And I kind of ask myself after, why do I feel energized by this set? Even though I only played like a little bit better. I think our average score, if we play like 20 games, is probably going to be like 2-20 or 3-20. And I think this time it might have been like, maybe I think it might have been like 6-31 or something. So it was like marginally better. Why do I feel so energized by this to the point where I feel like I can just keep playing after? And why in the fast that I feel tired? And I thought to myself, like, well, I guess I didn't get mad. But then I really thought about it and I realized I actually was getting frustrated in very similar ways, but I wasn't handling it the same way. I think up until this point, I had been of the mentality that frustration is a symptom of something is wrong. I don't know if that statement like resonates with anybody who may or may not be listening. But the idea that if you're very frustrated, how do I put this? Like you're frustrated because there is something wrong with how you're approaching the game. And if you are, let's say, an optimal student of the game, you should never experience frustration. And I think at some point I've like silently kind of let go of that, where I no longer see frustration as a symptom of something that's wrong with my mentality towards the game. It's just more a symptom that is kind of interconnected with passion in all forms. And I think like I especially really admire the like mentally tough Zen type competitors. I mean, it's why I love reading so much and why I'm so obsessed with reading all of Bob Rotella's books, because I think that's something that I kind of get as I read through his books. Anyway, the point being that my relationship with frustration is just so different. And because of that, it doesn't really detract from my energy towards the game most of the time. Because it really has not felt the same in a good way the last couple days. And I'm trying to think, like, where did this shift happen? Like, was it really just that I took a break and I came back refreshed? Or is it because I'm on, like, a break from working right now? What's going on? And I actually don't think it's any of that. I think it's pretty independent of my circumstances at the moment. I was thinking about this in the shower this morning. It's like, I teach sixth grade, okay? And when I tell people I teach middle school in general, they're like, "Oh, middle school, like, kids are really hard." And it's like, well, yeah, they're hard to work with, but one thing about sixth graders is that they are very interested in growing themselves. Even the like worst kids I've had have been interested in growing themselves, and it's because every sixth grader comes to you with some kind of passion. And the nice thing about that age is that you kind of still have that like childlike passion, and you're sort of divorced from the thought process that adults go through. We've literally had conversations about this in discords I've been in, where it's like, is this hobby even like worth my investment? I could be doing this thing to improve my life or better myself, right? Sixth graders have no concept of that. They're just really into their thing, whether it's like drawing, whatever sport they play, bugs, theater, painting, crafting, I don't know, whatever the hell it is, right? It's like they come to you with that passion. And sixth graders are interesting because they don't really judge themselves for their frustrations. And I think that that's sort of rubbed off on me a little bit. I was very fortunate this past year. I had super passionate kids to teach, just in general, and they were really, really great group of kids this year. But I think they're so non-judgmental of the emotions that they experience while they're pursuing their passion. It like doesn't stop them in their tracks that I feel like it does with me, and the way I get the impression it does with other adults as well. And I think that's sort of rubbed off on me, where it's like, the frustration is just kind of an inevitability of being passionate about something. Again, those two things are very deeply intertwined. I don't think there's any world where you can care about competing in something and not experience frustration. And that it doesn't have to be a symptom of something being wrong, of like something that needs to be corrected. And I think I fall into this mentality with everything. And if you see me stream, you definitely will very easily identify it. It's like I see everything as like a symptom of a greater issue, and I've only recently begun to let go of that and like look at things in a very short sighted emotional response. I think that that's just like generally good therapeutic advice also. I've worked on this with other emotions that I've experienced, but the idea is like if I become frustrated by something, then now that thing I'm frustrated at is like tainted, and I feel more scared to access it. And I think I was kind of getting to that point maybe around like the end of May. What was the last tournament I played in? It was DIY. I think from DIY onwards, when I competed at that in May, I was like kind of experiencing that gradual frustration, and it was like the more I could feel myself getting frustrated, it was like the more that the game that I really liked playing was tainted, and that made it harder to experience, which is kind of what led to the whole break. And now that I'm back and I'm sort of away from that, it feels really good. And now when I get frustrated, there's just sort of like an acknowledgement that it's temporary, and it doesn't really change the fact that I like playing the game. The frustration is like, it comes from very typical things, something everyone relates to. Like I was playing Envy yesterday, and it was like, man, like I was looking for a dive kick, and he did whatever it is, like jump fierce into dive kick cancel instead. Like that keep getting me in. I missed a parry on this, or like I pressed back fierce here when I know that's like the thing I'm like explicitly not trying to do. Like there was like kind of the same motions, but I kind of saw my frustration as just like intertwined with the process, and because of that, it was a very mild emotion, and it was really easy to reset myself after. You can probably hear my phone just buzzed, so I think I need to wrap up for now. So thank you for listening. I hope you took something away from this. Have a great day.